You're now listening to the Garage Guys Fantasy Sports Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome into another episode of Garage Guys Fantasy Sports. We have just watched the Phoenix race, and there's no Chase. There's no Garage Guy Chase. And we have Chef Boy and we have Dale Tanhart. Dale, I don't think Chase drank enough drip drop today.
Well, he's got Walmart internet, I think. Pretty unreliable, but talk about reliable drip drop. This is the weekend cure. You know, no matter what you're doing, you lose your bets. This will make you feel a lot better. The ultimate rehydration drip drop. Unlike Chase, unlike Garage Guy Chase, very reliable.
You're absolutely right.
There
dude.
you go.
And I have to say, like, it's the official drink of the Garage Guys, and it's the official drink of NASCAR. So we both have our drip drop. This is probably better than we usually do. With, usually one of us has it. Both me and you have it. So we're off to a good start. And I think I have to kind of take a couple jabs at Chase here, honestly. Anytime we have like a tech issue, it's just like a foregone conclusion that it's my fault. So like maybe it's been his fault for like the last year and a half.
I think that is not. I think that could be accurate. I definitely think that could be accurate. Don't let him pick on us anymore.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Our turn. It's our time.
Well, I see you got the Pels on, but let's jump right into this NASCAR race. I wanted to just start from the end, right? So Martin Truex wins. What's some of your main like takeaways, Dale? Let's just start there.
Well, so the Instacart 500, I thought it was a good race. The most green flag passes since a Phoenix race in 2013, I believe is what I read. And it kind of brought us back to reality based on what we've seen in the first few races of the season with unexpected winners. Even though I do think Truex was slightly an unexpected winner because his performance at this track and his performance recently as being a big time fader, he did the exact opposite. He he kind of started off slow early and they adjusted so well in his car where he was super fast at the end. But it brought us back to reality in the sense that it's about the big dogs. When you come here in November for the championship, the big dogs are going to run up front. So I've been preaching, play what is expected to happen. And what was expected to happen today did happen because the theme of 2020, for the most part, was Penske versus Gibbs. And that's what we saw today. All three of the Penske cars showed glimpses of being strong throughout. And the Gibbs cars were strong throughout, and especially at the end. So it brought us back to reality. The top 9 finishers of the race are the top 9 in the point standing. So what we've been preaching kind of showed its face in today's race, even though we didn't get the exact results we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, kind of unpacking a lot of what you just said there and try to respond to all that. So at one point in the race, I looked up, Dale, and it was like Kez, Joey Logano, Truex, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick were all like in the top 7. And it was just like back to the reality of the big boys are all kind of, back where they belong, I guess, without saying like a random William Byron in there, no disrespect to him, but all the big boys were up top for a good portion of this race.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in Team Hendrick, don't get me wrong, or let me understate it. Team Hendrick did win the championship last year. And Kevin Harvick had a dominant season for the most part, but it was a good race. And we did hit the Dale Hub premium picks for the Instacart 500. We did hit Blaney, stage 1 plus 2,000, massive hit that ultimately saved our day. Keselowski top 5 was just an absolute lock, that hit. Very easily. He ran in the top 5 the entire race. So very good stuff there. Ended up positive on units. So I appreciate what the Keselowski, Blaney, the Penske boys did for me today. Very appreciative.
Yeah, dude. I mean, switching gears a little bit to DFS. I know I had a couple of Truex lineups. I finished tied 10th in the FanDuel big tournament, and I was like a point away from taking down $3,000. So what it came down for me was, and this is my next talking point, it came down to Bubba Wallace needing to pass 2 cars. We saw him on that like 10 to 8 range, and then he got the race lead because of pit strategy. But that ultimately hurt him and cost me the $2 or $3 grand there. So would have liked to see Bubba like be a top 12 car. I think he finished place 16.
Yeah, that one just really sucks because he was a top 12 car. Same deal with Truex. They kind of were around 20th most of the race, and they adjusted, and that car was super fast at the end. But the strategy play was baffling, honestly. I mean, they saw 9 or 10 guys stay out in front of them on one of those late race cautions, and they decided to stay out, and no one else behind them stayed out. So at a track like this, tires are king, and especially on these. And granted, they only had 7 laps on their tires when that happened. But like I said, I mean, in the Xfinity race and the Cup race, tires were king. It's just a very abrasive racetrack and heartbreaking. Being races like a short track, they basically had. I don't remember how many sets they had exactly, but they had plenty of sets where they could have come down and pit and stayed in the game. Probably could have run 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 1,000% with what you're saying. I'll play devil's advocate though, and I think that if in the event we would have seen multiple cautions down the road, there was a chance that Bubba would have been the only person able to get fresh tires if he would have seen something like that. But I mean, the chances of that, Dale, probably like less than 5%. So 100% agree with you on that. That leads me to my next point though. I mean, just working right through this kind of, Bubba not only let me down in DFS, but he doubled down and hurt me in DFS again when he knocked out Cole Custer, who's somebody that the Garage Fam has been on the past 2 weeks. And I don't think it's fair for us to be mad at Cole this week. Maybe last week you put an argument that we shouldn't have played him as much, but to me, I think he was in a smash spot, and I stand by the play 100%.
Absolutely. And if you look at Cole Custer's history on kind of the flatter racetracks, flatter intermediates, he runs super well. When you talk about Vegas, Kentucky, and Phoenix, his track history is very impressive. So I think the play there was great. And he, it seemed like most of the race ran up in the top 15, and just a really tough break when Bubba got into him and took him out. I think he was running 13th or 14th. That killed all my lineups. I didn't play a lot of lineups, but I was in the green for much of the race until that had happened. So, you got to feel okay about the play because the research was there. Just terrible luck, honestly, just terrible luck. There were a lot of people in the garage fam that were upset about that because he was super cheap. He was one of the cheaper guys that you could plug into your lineup and sustain. And it's just a bad luck deal there, man. He killed me too, and it's not his fault. So
yeah, second straight week he's been under 7K, and I think that's too cheap for him, honestly. I know it's hard to say that right now with the results, but we're probably going to be right back playing him next week the way this algorithm works and in terms of qualification. So he's going to be starting way back there, and they'll probably be priced under 7K again. So he's going to be another tempting play, but maybe some people will shy away. I'm not sure. I'm not going to let the results kind of get in the way of my research, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you kind of got to play it like the luck has to turn around at some point. He ran super strong at Homestead. I think he was running 5th and then had a tire go down. Vegas, the whole Stewart Haas fleet just missed the setup, and he was pretty good today, and just bad luck. So he's on a cold streak, but a lot of it is not his fault. So you got to expect a bounce back in the next few races.
For sure, dude. And shifting gears to Mr. Ricky Stenhouse, I want to talk about him because this dude's been having like a under the radar, incredible season. And, after talking about Custer, who, disappointed in his performance, even though it wasn't his fault, Stenhouse was a guy that Chase and I brought up on the preview video. We brought up Suarez and we brought up Stenhouse as punt plays. And both of those guys, looking at the leaderboard on DraftKings today, both of those guys were near the top in terms of like their punt, not a huge score, but a score that paid off their prices. And if you look at it, Stenhouse has been doing it all year.
Yeah. And I used a word earlier, a key word that when talking about Cole Custer, sustain, right? Ricky Stenhouse was so cheap on DraftKings plus, or I want to say plus, because I'm thinking we're talking about odds. He was about $5,400, I think, or $5,500. So, I mean, he was a must start in most of your lineups because if he sustains a top 15, he gives you the ability to play the juice in your other spots. He has been consistent. He's still up there in the points, top 15, top 20 in points. And you can tell that the JTG Doherty fleet, him and Ryan Preece Preece has been fast in other races. I know he wasn't great today, but they've obtained some speed. So, I mean, they are worthy plays. At least one of them I feel like is a worthy play week in and week out. And Daniel Suarez, we had a lot of question marks with his new team. What kind of speed are they going to have? Are they going to be one of these blow an engine, like the Rick Ware boys, get lapped 6 or 7 times? And they've showed decent speed. And I think a lot of people could have expected that with the backing of sponsors that they have. Like, they're able to build pretty good race cars. And I think his qualifying spot was 27th. He finished 21st. Like I said, like, same word, that is a sustainable play to lay the juice in on your other 5 spots. So I'm impressed with how Suarez has been so far this year, especially compared to his ride last year in the number 96 Gaunt Brothers Racing Toyota. That car was very bad, and it's a huge step up for him. So those were 2 very good plays you guys talked about, and they were in my lineups. But it just takes one guy to mess it all up.
Yeah, dude, I was joking about the fact that, on our previous platform, I think we, talked about 38 races on preview videos last year, something like that. And we talked about Suarez once this year. We've already talked about him twice. So big things for that team. And I think it's an important takeaway for all of our listeners and Garage Fam. I was watching the Discord today, Dale, and a lot of people are getting caught up on like Cole Custer and Martin Truex, when in reality, you need to also focus on what went right, which is looking at the rankings. Joseph Logano was one of my highest ranked guys. Denny Hamlin was one of my highest ranked guys. Suarez was one of my highest ranked guys. And Bubba Wallace was right in the middle. So, I mean, there's plenty of like right and correct things, but in DFS, if you're not hitting the perfect combination, you're probably going to lose like most weeks. And I think that's like a big takeaway for me is if you're focusing on Cole Custer, you're focusing on the wrong things.
Absolutely. And you still have to, even with DFS, you have to play it like casinos don't build themselves. You know what I mean? And it's the same concept in DFS. Like, a small percentage in a lot of contests typically are the ones that win money, and it just takes one bad egg to ruin that. And in this case, it was somebody like Cole Custer and based off purely bad luck. You know what I mean? Like we talked about earlier, the rest of your picks were virtually spot on. But I mean, that's just the way it is in this business. One thing goes wrong and when the results don't show up for money, people are going to be upset about it, which is totally understandable. And that just makes us, I think what you're doing in the Cup Series is an amazing job, but we just got to get that one guy, and a lot of it's going to have to take luck. You're just going to have luck to have that final result. So
yeah, for sure. And it comes in time. I've been doing this for so many years that I'm not worried about it. The dominators are always going to be the hardest to pick because you look at and you're a straight better. Like traditionally you're a guy that checks the odds. Almost as long as I've been betting, you've been betting. So when you look at the board and you see all the dominators that are they all relatively have the same odds. I mean, everyone's from plus 550 to plus 1,000. So any race they can win. So that's why it's key to have multiple lineups. And, I've said it multiple times, and I think people do understand that now that multiple lineups is key. But I mean, I can rank somebody at, just last week, Dale, Kyle Larson, I think, was my worst ranked dominator, and we saw what happened. But that doesn't mean that, like, looking at the odds, he was just as likely to win as, he was only a little bit behind Joey Logano last week in terms of odds, maybe 200 or 300 more on the payout.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I think Truex this week was in that same ballpark as what Kyle Larson was last week. You know what I mean? Like, the heavy favorites this week were Elliott, Harvick, Keselowski, and then 4th or 5th guy was probably Logano and Kyle Busch, and then a couple spots lower you have Truex, and that was how it was last week. And there, like you said, there wasn't a huge difference, but it comes. I think Truex winning does come as a surprise to some people. It definitely came as a surprise to me, just because of the research just does not back Truex. At the end of the day, you got to trust the research, and they proved us wrong. And it'll be interesting to see how this win for Truex. He hadn't won, I think, in 28 races. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of catapults him and his race team into next week at Atlanta and throughout the rest of the season. Will they start ripping off wins and just be a formidable play every single week? Or will he go back to same old Martin, same old James Small as a crew chief, and they fade? So it definitely shakes things up. As predictable as it could have been with the top dogs running up front, it shakes up how I will approach my bets coming forward. No question about it.
Yeah, dude. And we almost saw the same old Truex thing with I can't remember how many laps were left, but another caution bailed him out. But Truex was leading for a large portion. And then we saw Logano and Kez, I think, retake the lead on the pits. I think they both moved up 2 spots. Truex dropped to 3rd or 4th, but ended up not mattering because he had a fast car and because I think another caution came out 10 laps later. So we almost saw the whole Truex shenanigans, and we almost saw me and your straight bets win. So it's
on one of those late race cautions, Brad just didn't have the car to compete with Joey or Truex, but we got up and we're pretty pumped when he took the lead with 40 to go. Maybe he just had a great restart, got ahead, but Joey passed him back, and then Truex caught both of them. We were close, and every week we're close. I know you wanted to talk about the Xfinity race. Speaking of close and just absolute tragedy, but Austin Cindric, I just want to fight him. I just want to kill him.
I wasn't even going to go there on Xfinity. I didn't want to relive your bad moment there, but dude, I feel like you've been spot on though with trucks, and definitely the props on Cup, trucks as a whole, and Xfinity not so much, right?
Yeah, I've been wanting to make a breakdown on everything. I have a breakdown on what my units are at for the year, but if it wasn't for an Xfinity, I think I'd be up about 25 to 30 units. Yeah. I mean, that's how bad Xfinity has been. And a lot of it came down to the one race with Noah Gragson at Homestead, killing me. I mean, and obviously that's just one of the most unlucky things I've ever seen in my life. But Austin Cindric, I don't want to kill him. I mean, I did yesterday, but
don't hold back now.
I can't stand him, dude. I cannot stand Austin. He is a hell of a race car driver, has a great car, great team, excellent crew chief combo. He'll be racing in Cup next year. But man, he just makes me so mad. I bet on him 2 weeks in a row, and then I don't bet on him this week, and he wins. And I think I bet on Truex 2 weeks in a row, and then he won this week. I don't know.
Like the way it always seems to fall. It falls that way more than it should. And sometimes maybe that's just us thinking short term. I think what you said, though, is true, that we will see this thing level off throughout the year. We'll probably see probably one more downswing, but I think for the most part, we're going to be hitting stride right now. And then throughout the year, maybe we have one more downswing. But NASCAR straight betting, Dale, is realistically, you can go through droughts that last months because the odds are so crazy. This isn't betting a -120 favorite in a basketball game.
Absolutely. And that is what I've brought a lot of appeal to a bunch of people I know because of that exact argument. People who want to take the bets because, the odds are just sexy. Just to put it quite frankly, you see +500 and you hear somebody like me, which I am an expert and I still think I'm the best in the world, even with the issues we've had. You trust somebody and it inclines them to take them. And even with the losses, I still get texts every weekend. Hey, who we riding this weekend? Who we riding on Sunday? Trucks have been awesome. But before we shift to another topic, I wanted to go over my stats for the year so far and just bring some positivity about it. Kind of go over a few highlights real quick.
You're up on the year. I think everyone knows you're up.
So, yeah, looking at the notes here, we have, and this is including live bets. Don't get me wrong. So I'm kind of learning as I'm going with some of this stuff, but I hadn't been able to live bet on NASCAR until this season. But for the record, after today, we're 1 for 3 on live bets +7 units, 6 for 18 on picking winners. That's races and stages minus 11.35 units. Okay. But it gets better. All right. 10 for 22 on matchups, almost 50% at minus 0.5 units. 6 for 16 on top 3/top 5s at plus 6.68 units. You said it earlier, I think, talking about top 3, top 5s being the bread and butter of what we've done well. And
you look ridiculous right now.
The record, just my reading glasses, okay? Just hold on. I know I'm old, but listen, the record doesn't sound good, but we on topic with the sexy odds, all basically the theme is all you need is one. You know what I mean? All you need is one big hit, 1, 2, 3 big hits, and you will make a lot of money.
And your
So
Blaney hit is one of them, like right there. So
I added that to the list at plus 2,000. I mean, that was a huge hit. I wish I had put more on it. I know our premium subscribers got to see it, which is great. I think a few of those guys took it, who were able to. But for the year, total units so far, even with our terrible struggles, especially in Xfinity, plus 1.83 units on the season. The fact that we're staying afloat, even with the terrible luck and tragic endings we've had, like we had yesterday in the Xfinity Series. I had Allgaier and Hemrick lining up second and third on the restart, and they both crashed. Plus 1.83 units, I think, is very impressive and provides a good reason for everybody to stick with us.
For sure. I mean, it's
only going to get better from here.
I mean, I don't want the tone to be, necessarily that we're doing bad. I mean, we see screenshots every week. I saw Chase got second in a tournament. I saw several subscribers drop in screenshots, and I won a little bit of money on FanDuel today. So, and your record is definitely in the green in terms of overall count. So it's not that we're down on our product. We're still seeing plenty of sales and subscribers come through, honestly. So something's working. It's just a matter of getting that right combo in DFS, and you're just being hard on yourself because you want those straight bets to hit. That's all it is.
I know, well, and I'm just I try to be a perfectionist. So, and the same thing, even last night, as mad as I was, there were several guys. There was one guy that hit huge on Xfinity last night. I think he won almost $2,000. And he took most of my picks, but yeah, it didn't work out for me, but you're right. We've had a lot of subscribers hit hard.
Yeah.
So that's a very good sign. I'm very happy for those people that have been able to hit. Probably more
our time's coming on the DFS side. I know that. I mean, last year at our, like I said, our previous platform, me and Chase were winning a ton of money right off the bat in terms of the season. But I think less subs were hitting, and it's been the opposite this year. Like, we're not personally winning a ton, but a lot of our subs have. So I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. Honestly, got to be happy for those people. But anyways, I want to get to our voicemails, Dale. But last question for you. Before we do the voicemails, which we have not listened to, and they're going to be electric, I hope.
I'm so pumped. I'm anxious, but I'm pumped. I just want to get to them.
I'm going to be disappointed if they suck, because honestly, we're going straight like authentic, natural reactions. But
I haven't done the voicemail thing yet. So really? Like, I want to see what my natural reaction is going to be to some of this stuff. So.
Dude, we've had some like all time voicemails. I know back in, not this past football season, but the season before that, we had Crazy Earl. We had just some really incredible names. I mean, hopefully we get some more for NASCAR, but I'm glad that we have brought the voicemails back for the race recaps.
Oh, it's great. And it's awesome that people want to contribute that kind of content, So.
Yeah. And before we get into those, let's plug that everyone go subscribe Garage Guys on the YouTube page or down here at the bottom, and definitely get over to our premium. We're going to drop the annual subscription down after, I think this is the 5th race, so it's time to drop it down. It won't be a huge discount, but we will, drop it down. But make sure you come subscribe, join the Discord. What other plugs do we need? And
you said you had one more. I think you said you had one more question for me. What was that question?
Oh, I'm coming back to it. Don't you worry.
Oh shit. Okay.
Don't you worry. Sorry. And then the last thing I wanted to plug was our new weekly episode, Dale, Garage Talk, coming on Wednesdays, which was just an incredible interview with Kyle Larson that we had. And we're going to be cycling through different stuff. So basically, Chase will be leading that up. But our plan is to have guests on, no matter the magnitude, whether it's Xfinity, whether it's Cup, or whether it's just some random person in media. Like, we're going to have people.
Don't forget trucks. Trucks are important.
Yeah, or
gotta love trucks too. Truck night in America on Fridays, baby.
I think having truck guests would be possibly more entertaining than Xfinity, depending on the driver. But basically, we had.
I agree.
Now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday recaps. Wednesday Garage Talk. Friday, or not Friday. Thursday we record the preview video and it drops Friday. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we have Dale Center. So that's a ton of content for the Garage fam, and I'm looking forward to the addition of the Garage Talk. So what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, it was a killer start. I was so jealous, obviously. But Kyle Larson was really cool. And you guys did an awesome interview. And the feedback was so consistent amongst everybody who liked it, The questions were all really good. His responses were all very authentic. He enjoyed the conversation clearly. And I mean, coming off a win at Las Vegas, I mean, the fact that we got the winner of the last NASCAR Cup Series race was really awesome. So we're gonna have to find out how to top it. I'll tell you that. We gotta be able to top it going forward.
Dude, it's gonna be hard because, like you said, it couldn't have been scripted better. I almost feel like we got that week because it was Chase's birthday and like it's just good energy. And I don't know, like that doesn't happen that way where you happen to get a guest on the like right after they win. I've been doing this long enough now to know that doesn't happen too often. So it was the perfect start to Garage Talk.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to being a part of it and watching you guys do more of it as we go. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. So that's all the shameless plugs I wanted to do. But final question before voicemails. I just want and you can't say, so you had your plus 2,000 hit. Besides that, your biggest encouragement or win of the race, biggest takeaway, and then the biggest disappointment. And while you answer this, I'm going to think of mine just for the Cup race.
Okay, so say those again. You have the biggest takeaway, the biggest disappointment, and what else?
Just the biggest win for you personally, whether a DFS pick or whether somebody that you just enjoyed the way they raced it and thought they had an incredible race. So just a winner and a loser, and you can't say the winner is your plus 2,000 because we already covered that's a.
You're right. Okay, you're right. Well, biggest takeaway is the theme of this show is that Gibbs and Penske at the tracks that are going to matter down the road, it's going to be a dogfight between those two organizations, and no one's talking about Kevin Harvick. Okay. Everybody was so scared of Harvick, how bad he was last week, even though he wasn't bad the prior weeks. Kevin Harvick was good today. I think he finished 6th. But the biggest takeaway, 2 things, is, like I said, Gibbs versus Penske and Stewart-Haas. Stewart-Haas is still a little bit behind these guys. And even though Kevin was good, he wasn't good enough like what we usually see from him and his team at Phoenix, the most dominant track of his career. So those are my 2 big takeaways. Biggest winner, I mean, I have to say Keselowski. From a betting perspective, when I looked at the data, I literally told myself there's no way. I thought he would win the race, but I also said there's no way he will run outside the top 5. I think it is a mortal lock that he'll run in the top 5. And he did. I don't think at any point of the race he was outside the top 5 besides a green flag pit stop. And he finished 4th. So that's my biggest winner, no doubt. I mean, yeah, the Blaney stage 1 thing was huge, but he wasn't consistent throughout the whole race. Keselowski was. Even though he didn't lead a lot, he was there through the whole race. Biggest loser, I guess I would say Chase Elliott, because
that was mine, so you just stole mine.
Even though he finished 5th, most of the race, he just was a non-factor. It was very shocking.
Yeah.
Beginning of the race, he drove straight through the field. By the end of stage 1, he was 5th. And at the end of stage 1, I said, I think Elliott's going to run away with this thing. I literally told my roommate that. I was like, I don't see how he doesn't win this race. And then through the meat of the race, he just fell off. And at the end, I guess they made some big adjustments and he crept back up there to 5th. But definitely the biggest loser there based on how dominant he was in the fall race and what people expected of him today.
Yeah. For me, I'm just gonna go ahead and double down on Chase Elliott. I'm not gonna think of another one. I'm just gonna go to the point that I had been joking around, Dale, about Hendrick cheating, and we saw last night Larson had to go to the rear. We saw Byron go to the rear, and then when an hour before the race, we see Elliott go to the rear. So I just think it's funny that they've been amazingly fast, and then I mean, who knows? This unapproved adjustment might have been something that they got caught, and then maybe that's why they weren't as fast as they were last. The championship. I don't know. I don't want to get too down into the
speculate too much, right? Well, I'll go ahead. Go ahead. You still got to give your other 2.
So I'm just going to do biggest loser, biggest winner, since we've been talking about takeaways. So biggest loser for me, Elliott for sure. I was overweight and DFS on him. Biggest winner was definitely Logano from a dominator perspective. I think he had he racked up a ton of. I mean, you had to have him on DraftKings or else you lost. So he scored so many dominator points that he probably could have even wrecked out and still scored 40 points. I mean, it's crazy. So he was my biggest winner.
Race high in laps led, I think 143 laps led. So I can agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna see some races that return to where you have one or two dominators that do this. This was just the first one in a while. But you ready for some voicemails?
I am more than ready. I'm so ready.
All right, we have no clue what's about to happen here. So hopefully no tech issues. When I play this, Dale, just give me a thumbs up.
Thank God I'm at the right place. I wrote the number down on a napkin and it smeared a little bit. But I just want to know where the hell this Joseph L. energy came from. How the fuck did he leave so many laps? And why were we not thinking about him this week and only last week? I don't know, guys. I'm a little upset. I drank too many beers and I bet too much money on Larson to win that race. I don't even care that Truex won, but God, where did that Joseph L. energy come from? I'd love any answers y'all got. Talk to you soon.
You get to respond first.
Okay, do we know who that was? What was his name? Did he say?
I don't think he stated his name. So next time, whoever you are, state your name, whether it's fake or real name. But what's your reaction? Then I'll answer because I have an answer for him.
So what he said, why were we not on the Joseph L train, or why were we on the Joseph L train? He's pissed he didn't win, is what he's saying.
Yeah, he's like, where did this Joseph L energy come from? He led so many laps. Why are we not thinking about him this week and only last week? My answer is simple. I thought I was thinking about him this week. So I don't know if he's a premium sub because I ranked him very well.
Well, I mean, I will say I was not on the Joseph L train this week, but I was on Team Penske, and Blaney and Keselowski were the two guys. If I had bet on Joey, I would have won no money today. But I bet on Brad and Blaney, and I did win some money. My response to that is, I think you're a little bit induced by the multiple beers you've had to drink.
Incredible. I
mean, Joey he could have easily won that race. I mean, he was one of the best. I mean, if he wins, he finished second. They adjusted on their car. At one point he was fading, fourth or fifth, and then they adjusted on his car and he was back up to first. Truex is just a little bit better. So yeah, the Joseph L energy from you guys was closer than what I had, with the Brad K energy. So that's one of those things where the research was there. I mean, you guys put the time in, and he almost had it. I don't know what to tell him.
Don't get me wrong. I don't even know what to call him, stranger or voicemail number one. I've had my fair share of weeks where I'm like low on Logano and doesn't pay off, and I've had my fair share of weeks where I'm way too heavy on him, like last week, and he screws me. But this just tells me that maybe he's a guy, Dale, that watched the preview video and he wasn't one of the four guys named in the preview video. But I think this tells him he needs to subscribe premium, honestly. Come look at my rankings, caller number one. But keep calling because I love the beer drinking. I love the energy. Yeah,
I mean, after the Daytona 500, I had about 63,000 beers. So watching Joey get wrecked on the last lap, I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain about the Joseph L deal. So yeah. And
the last words I'll leave you with, caller, is at Daytona with Dale. I remember I was carrying, Chef Boy's my name. I had like the waiter form with my hand. I had a box just full of beers and drip drop, and I was carrying it like a waiter. So, me and Dale have been there. We've been there before. I don't have any other answer though, besides check the rankings out.
And maybe don't drink as heavily.
Yeah, maybe wait till the race starts.
Moderation is good, whether you know it or not.
But once the race starts, unlimited, right?
There you go. Exactly.
Okay.
All right, what else do we have?
Hey, y'all, Motorboat here. To the guy who called in last week, just want to say, I found my toothpick this morning. I used it to scrape the Bubba Wallace bubble gum off my New Balance tennis shoe, baby. Woo! Instead of tossing it there, I chewed it. Chewed it right in my... Why? Because it's Phoenix. It's hot, and we thirsty. P.S. Reddick, if you're listening, you owe me $8. Bye, y'all.
What the hell? Okay, we might. All right, that accent was so bad. We might need to, or just like so southern. We might need to put some captions on the video for that one. That one was tough to hear. Can you tell me exactly what he said?
Yeah,
I heard Bubba and bubblegum.
Yeah,
and Phoenix is hot.
I'm gonna try to read this because you know how Google will put the words underneath the voicemail.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's got to be good. All right.
He comes out the gate hot. He says, "Hey y'all, motorboat here." The guy who called last week. So I'm assuming he left a voicemail for the Chase only episode last week where he didn't state his name. So now he's saying his name's Motorboat.
Motorboat, love it.
Just wanted to say I found my toothpick this morning. I used it to scrape the bubble gum off my New Balance tennis shoe. Bubble Wallace. Okay, this is where the text gets weird. Something Bubble Wallace. Instead of talking through it, I chose it. I don't know. This text is messed up.
We're gonna have to put some captions on here to figure it out.
Yeah, we might have to adjust our game plan for next time Motorboat calls. But
it's the Mississippi hieroglyphics.
He did say at the end, I caught this, that Tyler Reddick owes him $8. So let's talk about Tyler Reddick's day.
Oh gosh, really, really bad. I was very indifferent on Reddick. RCR has kind of Ryan Newman did win a race here in 2017 in the spring race, but completely based on strategy. A late race caution came out. They took 2 tires. Everybody else took 4. He held them off. But besides that, RCR, especially with Austin Dillon, has not been super great here. So, I saw some other sharps kind of taking Reddick in matchups or like a high value top 10. But I wasn't on board with that. And he just was never up there. He was around 20th most of the race. And then he had a flat tire, hit the wall, and just had a really, really bad race. I don't even know what he finished, but I don't think he was a winner in matchups or any DFS plays.
Yeah, I want to say he had like a late issue and like ran into the wall. And he
did. And he cut a tire down. But what is the significance by the Tyler Reddick owes me $8?
I'm assuming he put like a straight bet out there for Reddick to either win or to finish in the top 3. But I mean, I guess I can kind of take an L on this one. I had Reddick and Kurt Busch as two of my sleepers to finish well. I
was about to ask who the fuck referred him as a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, in DFS he started 25th. I thought he could get a top 10.
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
But I didn't straight bet him. I encouraged that if you want to be different and pivot off the chalk, go from like a Bowman to a Kurt Busch or a I can't remember who was in Reddick's range. Maybe instead of a Bubba Wallace, go into a Reddick just to be different. But Reddick let me down for sure. I thought he had potential to be a DFS play, but not a straight bet.
Yeah, talking about Kurt Busch, I definitely liked Kurt Busch. But he just Ganassi, I think, finished 14th and 19th with Kurt and Chastain. So they just didn't really have it today. I thought Kurt would be okay. Excuse me. Early on, Kurt, I think his qualifying spot, you said 12th, and he was pretty cheap. So he ran up and got up into like 6th place. And I immediately thought he was going to be fast, and he really just kind of faded and just hung around 10th to 15th the whole race. So it was sustainable, but not the points you would have hoped for. Yeah,
anytime Kurt Busch is under 8K on DraftKings, you got to give him a look.
Right. I thought the same exact thing when I saw that price tag. So, but
not the best floor starting 12th. I'll say that. Like that's the argument against him. But
right, absolutely. But and I do, like I said, I do understand what you were looking for in Reddick. Unfortunately, to Motorboat, I don't think Reddick's going to give you that $8. But there will be opportunities for you to bet on him later in a better spot, whether it be DFS or DraftKings, or not DFS, DraftKings, FanDuel, or straight bets. So you might get that $8 back at some point this year.
Yeah, and I'm not even gonna try to decipher the Bubba Wallace stuff. I think it was funny, but I'm pretty sure he's not a Bubba fan, and we need to work on a way to get these a little bit. Maybe I should have gone on my phone right up next to the mic, but it sounds like we have a Bubba hater to me.
Yeah, I could sense that a little bit. Based on his tone, But that was
the second week in a row. I think Chase had a call last week where we had a Bubba hater. But look, I've gone on record, Dale, and this is the final thing before we close for the night. I've been on record saying this season will be extremely telling on the Bubba Wallace argument, because to me, you got a guy in Ty Dillon and Bubba Wallace who have historically around the same average finish, like 28th. Literally, like both of them had struggled. One gets kicked to Xfinity, one gets an upgrade. We don't know if it's an upgrade, but we're assuming that when you bring Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin together, you assume that equipment's better than, Richard Petty Motorsports. So my point has been this season will be telling in the whole Eric Jones versus Bubba Wallace and how good truly is Bubba Wallace, how good truly is Eric Jones, or how bad is Eric Jones or Bubba Wallace. I think once we have 8 races under our belt this year, it's fair to be critical of Bubba Wallace.
I would agree. I would maybe say 10. But here's the deal. I think this is kind of a different look on this, but I think there's way more pressure. You talk about Ty Dillon with what he's going through. I think there's a lot more pressure on him right now because he's driving that 54 car in the Xfinity Series, and Ty Gibbs in his 2 opportunities has torn it up in that car, and Ty Dillon has had not good results. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot more pressure on Ty Dillon, not Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to compare Ty Dillon to my point is like last year, traditionally Bubba Wallace and Ty Dillon in the Cup were always priced right next to each other. So when I was ranking them, I had to like put them one or the other, and both of them had similar equipment, I'd say. And just happens to be that both of them have like similar stats for average finish. So to me, the story was like Ty Dillon goes to Xfinity, loses his Cup ride. Bubba Wallace gets an upgrade. I'm not saying one person's like getting the benefit of the doubt, one person isn't, but looking at the facts, Eric Jones gets a downgrade, Bubba Wallace gets an upgrade, Ty Dillon's out. I think it's fair to argue like Eric Jones versus Bubba Wallace, who's the better driver? I think you can point to that. Maybe, I don't know how 8 races, 10 races down, and say, you'll be able to make your case if you're a Bubba Wallace. If you're a Bubba Wallace hater or supporter, you will be able to make your case this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. This season is a huge year for him. But I think it's going to take some time to figure it out. Just with new teams, I feel like this is just going to happen. And today was a very good sign for them. They had really good speed in that race car. So I think that, I think he'll start running. We have Atlanta next week. I could see them running top 10 at Atlanta easily. I think they just got some momentum from this race. I know their finish wasn't the best, but the fact that they just realized that their car could have speed and run in the top 10, with how that car was late in the race, maybe top 5. I think that's a huge sign for him. And I totally agree with you. I know he's going to get more than 1 year with this team, no doubt. But this is, in your opinion, in my opinion, it is kind of a make or break year on how we can talk about Bubba. But I stand firm with the opinion that he will win a race this year and be in the playoffs and run really strong. Once they start clicking, I think he's going to start ripping off some good runs. Eric Jones has been pretty solid. That team is just Richard Petty Motorsports since Richard Petty hopped out of that car in 1992 has just been an absolute joke for most of its existence. And I hate to say that, but just look at the statistics, So nobody bodes well to do well in that number 43, but I hope the best for Eric Jones. They're going to have some races where they have brake failures or engine failure or just random mechanical issues that deflate that team and deflate Eric Jones. But I also think he's a very talented race car driver and he's going to have some good runs. So it's hard to talk about Jones because I think he's talented. But, like you said, it's a big downgrade to move to that team from Joe Gibbs. He's got a big chip on his shoulder, no doubt.
And that's why I think Bubba has to be a decent margin better than Eric Jones. Because if it's close, I'm going to point to Jones and be like, that dude is doing more with less. Honestly.
Yeah, that's a good topic. It's like, who do you point at? If Jones is doing comparable to what Bubba's doing on the track, you say Bubba's not getting enough, or do you say Jones is better? I think most people would say Bubba's not getting enough.
Yeah.
And I think that Bubba's team I don't think they look at Eric Jones, and I don't think Bubba thinks about that. But if he were, he would say, I'm not doing good enough. My old team is beating me, with a different driver.
It's a fun topic, and it's something to me that's like not discussed enough. If you look at some of these like DFS prices traditionally, and you like compare these people to each other, like the people that I kind of compare to Bubba are Ty Dillon last year, and this year I'm kind of comparing him to Eric Jones. But anyways, I think you and Chase are on record saying that Bubba's going to win a race. Chase says Martinsville. You say he's going to win one.
I don't think it'll be Martinsville. It's too early in the season. That Martinsville's in like 3 weeks. So that would be right around the 8 or 9 race mark. I think it's going to take some more time. Take some more time. So
it's a long season for sure. Dale, any last words?
I just want to thank Motorboat and the beer man for calling in and giving me a little bit of a laugh with what's been a good weekend because we went positive, but a back and forth weekend has been pretty stressful when it comes to the betting DFS world. So and then shout out to Drip Drop once again. I've gone through about 3 of these in the past 2 or 3 hours. So the ultimate rehydration company, Drip Drop, the official drink of the Garage Guys. So that's it for me, dude. What you got?
That's it. I mean, I want to say probably didn't have as many like movie references or music references as Chase. Probably didn't with Chase, you can tell him Martin Truex and he can think of like an NFL mascot, and somehow those two things compare to each other. So the podcast definitely lost something, but I feel like we covered a lot of like NASCAR talk on this episode.
Oh, absolutely. And once the Walmart connection goes away, your boy Chase, Garage Guy Chase, will return. So
Dude,
I'm looking forward to seeing him.
I'm so excited that his internet kind of was the problem, because he literally always blames my Xfinity internet. I'm like, dude, I pay $120 for internet. It better not be wrong. Like that's a good bit of coin for internet. So
yeah, Xfinity does have its fair share of problems. So there's no question. I've dealt with Xfinity issues, and the Xfinity series kind of sucks right now because we're not winning. So it's pretty appropriate that could make sense, but not in this case. Not this time.
For sure, dude. Well, that's a wrap. That's an episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We will be back next week with all the content as usual. And should have Chase back. And let's bag. Sports, party, repeat.
It's the Garage Guys. 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 It's the Garage Guys.